Hello everybody, it's Brandon. Welcome back to Marotta Media. It is officially Oscars weekend. The Oscars are tomorrow at the time of this video's recording, so they could be tonight too, depending on when I post this. It's either going to be tonight or tomorrow, but either way. And every year before the Oscars, I make it a mission to watch all of the Best Picture nominees. And this year, I think for the first time ever, I have seen all of the Best Picture nominees at the time of the announcement. And that typically is not the case. There's usually about one or two that I haven't seen that I try to watch before the actual awards, but I've seen them all this year, so I didn't really have anything to worry about. So as I have done every year for the past few years, I will be going over the nominees and ranking them from my least favorite to my favorite. And I did not review all of these movies on YouTube, so I'll be giving my brief thoughts on a few of them as well, and I'll be touching briefly on what awards that I think they will win. So enough of me yapping, let's get right into this thing. Starting us off at the bottom, at number 10, is what I know will be a controversial pick, and that is Women Talking. I heard a lot of praise for this movie, and after I watched it, I was like, yeah, that was good, but I personally did not love it. I don't know what it was about it, man. I just thought this movie was rather boring. But that might be my fault because the condition that I was in while watching this movie was probably not the ideal movie watching condition. I had just gotten off of work, I had a really long day, I didn't feel great, I had a huge headache, and I was very, very tired. And a result of being in that condition while watching Women Talking is you fade in and out of consciousness. But don't worry, I did watch the whole movie. I did not fall asleep. I was just falling asleep. That's not the movie's fault, though. That was more on me. But Women Talking does have a lot of great things about it. I thought the writing and directing from Sarah Polley was excellent, and I thought the acting by the entire ensemble was fantastic, especially from Claire Danes and Jessie Buckley. Frances McDormand is also in this movie, but she's barely in it. She's in it for, like, I'm not even kidding you, 2 minutes. But yeah, just something about this did not really resonate with me. But I'm not blaming the movie for that. I understand the appeal of it. This just wasn't my cup of tea. That being said, I actually do think Women Talking is going to take home some hardware on Oscars night. I think the one and only award this movie will win will be Best Adapted Screenplay. There is another movie that could challenge it, but I'll expand more on that later on. Moving on to number 9, we have Elvis. This is another movie that so many people seem to love, and I don't really know why. I'm not saying that because the movie is bad, because I really did enjoy it, but it seems like general audiences really love this movie too. Which is shocking when you consider that this movie is nearly 3 hours long, and it seems like long runtimes really make people stay away. But there's so many great things about it, dude. The costume design, the production design, the music, and Austin Butler gives a career-defining performance as Elvis Presley. But the bad things about it, one, for me personally, it was too long. This movie had no right being nearly 3 hours. I also thought the editing was way too wacky and chaotic. I know that's Baz Luhrmann's style, but it just doesn't work for me, dude. Oh, and Tom Hanks gives one of the worst, if not the worst performance that he has ever given in his career. Elvis is going to be a big winner, though. Even though he's not my pick, I think Austin Butler is going to win Best Actor. I'm rooting for Brendan Fraser, who could still win it, but it's between him and Austin Butler, and I think Butler is the frontrunner right now. It's going to win Best Costume Design, and it could win Best Makeup, but I personally did not pick it for that category. But yeah, this is a good movie. I enjoyed it, but I don't know if it's something that I'll rewatch again anytime soon, if ever. In the 8th spot, I have Tar. Tar was the last movie of every nominee that I watched. I did not get around to watching this movie in theaters, so I ended up renting it. And just like the previous 2 movies, I really enjoyed Tar, but it just wasn't really something that I loved. But there are so many great things about it. Todd Field's direction, his writing, Cate Blanchett's performance is unbelievable. And this movie's subject matter is something that I don't think I've ever seen in a movie before. It discusses things such as cancel culture, but it doesn't really take anyone's side. The titular character, Lydia Tarr, is a very famous composer and an extremely polarizing figure. and she's accused of something, but you don't know for sure if she's guilty or not. The movie just lays out all the information for you, and they leave it up to the audience to determine whether they think she's guilty or innocent. And like I said, it is very enjoyable, but I personally just found it kind of a slog to get through. But Cate Blanchett's performance just keeps you glued to the screen. She's so good in this. And that could be the only award that Tar wins. It's nominated for quite a few awards, but the only one I really think it has a chance of winning is Best Actress. And Cate Blanchett is not really the lock that I thought she was for this category anymore. And just like Best Actor, it's between Blanchett and someone else. And it could go to either one of them, and a while ago I would have said Blanchett has it, no doubt. But I'm just not sure anymore, and honestly, she's not really my pick at the moment. But that being said, I don't know for certain, because Cate Blanchett could still win it, and if she does, I won't have any issues, because she was magnificent in this movie. At number 7, I have Avatar: The Way of Water. I won't get into my extended thoughts on this movie because I did make a full review of it, so if you're interested, go check it out. But I made it clear, I'm not really a fan of the first Avatar movie. I think that movie is just fine, if anything. But I did think that Avatar: The Way of Water was a huge improvement. Even though the script is still very generic, I liked it a lot more than the first one. But the one thing this movie really improved on was its visual effects. The first Avatar looked incredible, but The Way of Water takes it to a whole nother level. This might honestly be the most visually stunning movie that I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not even exaggerating. It's just so beautiful to look at. And the only award that I think Avatar is going to take is Best Visual Effects, obviously. If anything else won over this movie, then I would be absolutely irate, because none of the other nominees were nearly as good looking as Avatar. At number 6, I have this year's Palme d'Or winner, Triangle of Sadness. Triangle of Sadness is one that I feel like went under a lot of people's radar. As I mentioned, it won the prestigious Palme d'Or award at last year's Cannes Film Festival, and I really liked this movie. This is where the ratings start to get to 9 or above. Yes, I gave Triangle of Sadness a 9. I really enjoyed it that much. Like most movies released recently, it has that very typical rich people bad theme, but Triangle of Sadness does it in such a subtle and hilarious way. I thought this movie was so entertaining. And it feels like 3 different movies split into one, because there's 3 distinct acts, and they all feel very episodic. However, I do not think that this movie will be winning any awards on Oscars night. The only thing I'm upset about is that Dolly De Leon was not nominated for Best Supporting Actress in this movie. If anything, I would have taken out Jamie Lee Curtis and replaced her with De Leon. But whatever, I'm not an Academy member, so what do I know? But this movie was a very pleasant surprise to get a nomination, and I'm very happy that it did. And beginning the top 5, at number 5, I have All Quiet on the Western Front. This just goes to show that Netflix is able to make really good content when they want to. They need to start funding more movies like this and not crap like Resident Evil and He's All That. But I'm not familiar with the story of All Quiet on the Western Front before I watched this, at least. I never read the novel, and I never read the original movie from 1930, which also won Best Picture that year. But All Quiet got a lot more than I really anticipated that it would. It's nominated for Best Picture, Best International Feature, Best Score, Best Production Design, and I do think it is going to win some things. I think it's a lock for Best International Feature. The only thing that could have given it a run for its money was Decision to Leave, but that was snubbed. Oh, and RRR, but India didn't even submit that as their official submission. But International Feature, without question, as well as Best Cinematography. Even though I think this year's cinematography nominees is incredibly underwhelming, I do think that All Quiet was the best cinematography of the year. Even against movies with better cinematography than those nominated, like Nope, The Batman, The Fable Men, those movies were all visually gorgeous, but I don't think any of them were as good as All Quiet. I've seen some people say that this definitely has a shot to win Best Picture, and if it does, then that's a little bit disappointing to me. As much as I love this movie, I don't think this version of All Quiet winning Best Picture really advances the industry in any way, because as I mentioned, the original from 1930 already won it, so a movie nearly 100 years later of the same name and same story is going to win it again? Really? But that being said, this is still a great, great film, so do yourself a favor and go to Netflix right now and watch it. At number 4, I have The Banshees of Inisherin. I loved Banshees the first time I watched it, but I rewatched it at the beginning of this year. It was the first movie of the year that I watched. And truthfully, I loved it more on a second watch. The entire cast is brilliant. Colin Farrell gives possibly the best performance of his career. And you have his other three co-stars who are all nominated as well. Brendan Gleeson, Kerry Condon, Barry Keoghan. All of them are truly spectacular in this movie. Banshee does such a great job of balancing different genres. It's hilarious, and it's also so incredibly sad. But this is a movie that I could definitely see being a comfort movie going forward. I love it that much. It's just so easy to watch. Unfortunately, I don't think Banshees will be taking home any sort of hardware. It was my original choice for Best Original Screenplay, but I changed my pick on that. You'll see which one later on. The only other chance it has is Best Supporting Actress for Kerry Condon, who is really picking up some steam in that category. Even though my pick for that category has not changed, I think it will go to Angela Bassett, but it could go to Kerry Condon. Hell, it could even go to Jamie Lee Curtis after she won the SAG Award. It could go to any one of them, and that's what I love about this year's nominations. There's a lot of certainty and a lot of uncertainty as well, and I love that excitement of not knowing what's going to happen for every category. But if this doesn't win any awards, I will be sad, because it truly is a magnificent movie. At number 3, I have one of the biggest blockbusters of last year, Top Gun Maverick. This is another movie that I made a full review on, so I'm not going to get into my full thoughts on it here. Go check out my full review. But the fact that this is nominated for Best Picture is pretty unbelievable to me, because this movie is not really a typical choice for the Academy in the Best Picture category. Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy that it's here, but wow, I can't believe they actually went through with it. This also got a surprising amount of love in different categories. However, the only one that I think it will win will be Best Sound. The only competition I could see for that category is All Quiet on the Western Front. And if it was up to me, I would also personally pick Top Gun Maverick for Best Editing, but that'll go to another movie that you will see very soon. And I feel like if it was up to general audiences, then this would probably win Best Picture, but I don't think it has a shot. But it is still awesome, and it got everybody back in theaters last year, so we will be forever grateful for that. At number 2, I have The Fable Men. If you saw my best movies of the year list, then this will not be a surprise to you, and you will also know what number 1 is. Again, I did make a full review of The Fable Men as well, so go check out my full thoughts if you want to hear them. But this is such a beautiful little movie, dude. I loved every second of it. It's been categorized as Oscar bait, and I don't buy that for a second. Steven Spielberg is so far into his career, I really don't think he gives a shit about making movies for awards anymore. I mean, if he ever did. But the fact that this man has made a movie the last 2 years, and both of them got a Best Picture nomination, as well as a Best Director nomination for him, is a huge flex. Because honestly, I thought Spielberg was toward the end of his career after seeing movies like Ready Player One, which I personally did not care for. But this just goes to show that he has not lost his edge. And unfortunately, I'm sad to say that I don't think this will be winning any awards on Oscars night either. I could see it winning Best Score because John Williams is retiring and this was the last score of his career, and it was a fantastic score. But I think that award will go to Babylon because that is far and away the best score of the year, and I don't think the Academy is just going to give out an award out of pity. I mean, Spielberg could win Best Director too, but I don't think he will. You will find out who will in just a second. But I love this movie, dude. It's not Oscar bait. It's a very personal story that Steven Spielberg was hesitant to tell, and I don't know why, because it's a beautiful movie. And like I said, you know what number 1 is if you saw my best movie of the year list. Number 1 is far and away Everything Everywhere All at Once. This was the only movie from 2022 that I gave a 10 out of 10 rating to. And I've talked about this movie at length on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter about how much I love it and why it's so great. So there's really nothing new that I can say about this movie that I haven't already said. Just know it's creative, it's heartfelt, it's hilarious, and it's so goddamn entertaining. The fact that this is the Best Picture frontrunner is incredible to me. A movie that contains googly eyes, talking raccoons, and a man leaping onto a butt plug is currently the Best Picture frontrunner. Look how far we've come. But yeah, dude, if it was up to me, this is easily the Best Picture winner, and I think it is going to win it. And if it does, I will be absolutely ecstatic. And the last time I can remember being so excited about a movie winning Best Picture was Parasite, just from a few years ago. But I think I will be even more excited if this wins, because its success and acclaim was just so unexpected. In terms of other awards, obviously I think this is going to win Best Picture. I think it will win Best Original Screenplay, because that's usually a determining factor in what wins Best Picture. I think it will win Best Editing. It is absolutely going to win Best Supporting Actor for Ke Huy Quan. Jamie Lee Curtis could win Best Supporting Actress, and Michelle Yeoh could win Best Leading Actress. Oh, and how could I forget? The Daniels are gonna win Best Director over Spielberg, and they absolutely deserve it. And this is coming from a huge fan of Steven Spielberg. But yeah, man, I can only really end this off by saying I fucking adore this movie. And the fact that it's nominated for Best Picture, let alone the current frontrunner, is amazing on its own. Well, that's it, everybody. That was my ranking of this year's Best Picture nominees. If you guys saw all of these movies, let me know how you would rank them. Which one did you think was the best, and which one did you think was the worst? If you guys like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe. If you want to see my rankings of the Best Picture nominees from the previous 2 years, I will link those right over here. Other than that, I hope you all have a tremendous rest of your day, and I will see you all at the Oscars.